Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm back with another video. It's a longer video today, but I am showing 4 cards that I made with the new Yana's Poppies collection. It's actually not new. I waited to post this video till it was back in stock. So I am showing you 4 ways to use that background BetterPress plate because I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by these plates. These are the reverse plates, as I call them. I don't know what they're actually called, but you get the background inked up and then you have the flowers in this case that are left white. So I really love these plates because I love a colored background and a black background even, or a really dark one. It can be super fun. But I also wanted to find some other ways to use these plates and maybe find a way to make the background white. And I did find a way to do that, and it's really fun. So I'll show you all the ways I use this plate, but there are probably many more ways to use it that I didn't even cover in this video. So I'm inking this first one up with Cosmic Sky, which is a beautiful deep blue ink. So I am first using this plate as intended. So it's a colored background, and I am also going to be using the coordinating stencil or coordinating layering stencils to color in the flowers. And it's such a beautiful background that you create. But like I said, there are many more ways to use this BetterPress plate. So here I am lining up that first stencil. All of my inks are in the Inkstand Mini. I really love my Inkstand, especially for smaller ink cubes, because I only work with ink cubes, really. I have a couple of full-size ink pads, but not many. And I love ink cubes. I think you can do more techniques with ink cubes. Direct to paper techniques with ink cubes are a lot easier than with ink pads. They take up less space. They cost a lot less to purchase initially, and you can buy a re-inker when necessary. So it's not like they last less long or they have a shorter lifespan than ink pads. I really like ink cubes. I think they're great, but when you're doing a lot of ink blending like I do, and you're holding that ink cube with your fingers while you're inking up your brush, there's no way you're not getting ink on your fingers. And that's why I love that Inkstand Mini, because I can use my brush on those and not be careful to not ink up my fingers. It's great. So I'm going through the layers here, darkening it up as I go. These stencils are a little bit more abstract, so I do add a little bit of shading on my own. So I did it for all the petals as well, but you can definitely see it best with the leaves. So there's only really one layer for the leaves, and I'm inking the entire leaf up with a really light green ink, and then I will go back in with another shade darker and ink up the bottom of the leaves. And I did the same for the petals. It was just a little less noticeable because I sped that up a lot. There was a lot of ink blending. The final stencil layer is for the stems, and I am doing that in my darkest green, and that is going to finish up the background. So this is the only time in this video you'll see me stenciling the background. I do show another example with it, but I figured if you've seen me blending it once, you're covered. So I'm going to glue that background onto a top folding white note card with some Barely Art Precision Craft glue. And then I will turn this into a card, because once you're done with one of these backgrounds, they're quite busy, and I struggle sometimes to figure out what to do to turn it actually into a card. Obviously, you can just put a large sentiment over top of it, and that would be lovely. I am pretty much going to do that, but I'm also going to add a little frame. I think a frame adds so much to a card. If I could add a frame to every single card, I probably would. So I cut a frame just using the Essential Arches dies from Spellbinders. I propped that up with some extra layers. So I cut that frame 3 times. I layered those up, and I also added foam tape to the back of it to really elevate it from my card. And then the sentiment is from the Serenade Sentiments die set from Spellbinders. It is such a lovely script. I really, really like these sentiments. And they have some longer sentiments in there as well. And I love a longer sentiment because it just really looks nice on a card sometimes. I often decide my sentiment not on which type of card I need to make, but how the sentiment length fits on my card. So I will just look at the length of a sentiment sometimes to decide which I'm going to add to a card. I'm propping that up on foam tape as well. I got the shadow layer from a deep blue glitter cardstock, and then the script layer is just white. And both of those are propped up on a couple of extra layers of cardstock as well. Now this is the second card I made with the stenciling, and here is how you turn those backgrounds white. You foil them. I love foiling with my BetterPress plates. I think BetterPress plates foil better than actual foil plates. I can barely remember the last time I used an actual foil plate to hot foil. So this is the opaque white foil. It comes in a pack of 2 rolls, and one is opaque white and one is opaque black. So you'll find it that way in my supply list. Yes, I am also a little bit bummed that you can't purchase the opaque white foil separately, because it's definitely one that I use very, very often. Now I'm going to peel that excess foil off, and you can see those flowers on the foil still. I am going to use those later. Now it's not going to be as noticeable because my flowers are white. If you foil this background with gold, you can have gold flowers for your next card. I'll show you how to use them in a second once I finish this one. So for this card, I wanted a little bit of a softer look. I inked the poppies in orange inks and green and soft green inks. And then I am going to use craft cardstock as my matting layer. I love a good craft cardstock. It's so much softer than a black or a gray. I really love the look, especially for autumn cards. I never have enough craft cardstock. To create a little bit of a frame here, I am using the notched corner frames die set, which are really just a nesting die set. They don't actually cut frames. And I cut I think the second largest layer, and then I also cut 2 additional layers from a smaller notched corner die to prop that panel up and give it some dimension. I'm again using the Serenade Sentiments because I love them so much, and I die cut the shadow layer out of a green that really nicely matches the green ink I used to really soften the look of that card a little bit more. Once I figure out the placement, I'm just going to glue that down. I could have propped it up on some foam tape, but again, these sentiments are already a couple of layers of cardstock thick because I always double up my die cuts, because I just love the look of them. So I figured I would leave out the foam tape for one of the cards. Now these are the very basic cards that I made with the stencils and the BetterPress plate for the poppy background BetterPress plate, I mean. So I'm going to step it up now. This includes that beautiful Yana's poppy die. I love it. And here I'm going to show you how to use your excess foil. You probably know this already if you've been foiling for a while, but if you don't, I have a must-have tool for you here. It's from Pinkfresh Studio. There are a couple on the market. I think they all function the same way. I like promoting the Pinkfresh Studio one because they were really the first one to come out with it. So I feel like the credit goes to them here. So this is the solid hot foil plate. And if you just use this with a full sheet of foil that you haven't used before, you are going to create foiled cardstock. You're just going to create a full sheet of gold cardstock, which can also be fun. That way you don't have to buy specialty cardstock anymore. You can just buy foil if you're foiling anyway. And when you use leftover foil, like the reverse of the design, like I did here, it foils everything that's left over. So I have my poppies here in white on a soft pink cardstock, which I thought was beautiful. I love that look. It's what I use my my matte or my opaque white foil the most for. Sorry about that. To foil on really soft colors. It's just lovely. And I'm going to set that background to the side and color my poppy. So this is the Yana's poppy, and it is so lovely. It comes with one die cuts the outline and all the inner petals. I left everything in my piece of cardstock because it's easier to color that way. I'm using my Ohuhu markers for this. They will also be linked in the supply list below. Everything is linked in the supply list. If you want to see the visual supply list, that is also linked, as well as my blog post for some close-up pictures as well. This poppy was so fun and easy to color. I just start with my darkest shade, go to the medium. There is quite a big step up between my marker shades, so I go back and forth a little bit before I do the lightest shade as well. I am not coloring the leaves because I am going to add the gold outline on top of this. So I used some satin gold cardstock from Spellbinders. I think it's the satin gold. I just use the variety packs or the gold assortment from Spellbinders. That will be linked in the supply list as well. If you're still looking for some fun specialty cardstocks, these are great. These assortment packs are great. They have them in silver, rose gold, and gold. I use them all quite often. To make this card, I'm using the Nested Postage Labels and Tag die set. I love a good postage look, but I don't like it propped up on a card base because then you sort of lose that white postage edge. So what I do is I trim my card bases down. So I'm just using the Spellbinders Guillotine trimmer to, I think I trimmed off a little bit over 1/4 inch from one of the sides and the bottom of the card base, and then I can just glue that to the back of that postage frame. Now, I apologize for the way my footage looks here. It is not my usual quality. I'm still pretty new to filming in my new place, and I had no idea the sun would affect my desk that much because my desk is not really anywhere near a window, but there are a lot of large windows in the room, and I should have guessed. So the footage is a little bit washed out. I am so sorry. I debated not posting this video, but I thought it would be, I think it's still really fun techniques, so I apologize for the way it looks, but I hope you can still follow along. So for the poppy die, there is also a shadow layer included. I like to cut that out of vellum, but the vellum I have is very thick, and it's a very cold color that it has. So it's white, but it's not like a soft, warm white. So when I put it over top of warm colors like that blushy pink, I like to add some ink blending to the back of it with a matching color to the background. It's still very much going to look like vellum, especially because it's the same color ink as the background or the paper color that I use behind it. But it's not going to look as cold and gray anymore. So you probably don't have to do this with every type of vellum. I definitely didn't do this with other types of vellum I had. But this is the only vellum I have left over, and I have to do this for every warm background I use it on top of, because it is not a nice background, or it is not a nice white color. So I have linked other vellum in my supply list that I do like. So yeah, you can, if you're looking for vellum, you can try that one. But if you've ever wanted your vellum to be a different color, just ink blend on the back of it. It is such a great way to stretch your supply, and that way you don't have to wait for the ink to dry, because ink does dry on vellum, it just takes ages, and that's why I ink blend on the back of it and not on the front. The sentiment here is from the Wonderful Script Sentiments, which is also from a Yana Makula collection, actually. She has so many beautiful sentiments. I love her script, and I really like the sentiments themselves. This just says hello, but she has so many fun sentiment sets that are really unique and really fun sentiments to include on your cards. So I would check them out if I were you, and if you were still looking for some fun, unique birthday sentiments. That's that card finished. I am showing all of these cards without the embellishments added. I added them later on. If you want to see them finished with embellishments and all, go to my blog. They have all of the close-up pictures there. Now, for the final card, I am going to just die cut from this press plate. I think we forget about this a little bit too much, or I do at least. When you make a background like this, just treat it like pattern paper. You don't have to fill your entire card with it. You can also die cut from it. So with a large background like this, or with a large patterned background like this, I would cut a large die from it, obviously. You could use a really large, bold flower. That would be really fun to use here. And have that be the focal point of your card. Or I'm going to treat it as fabric. So there's this beautiful die set, I'll show it in a second, and it creates a embroidery hoop and some fun flowers to put on top of it. It has so many fun accessories. Maybe I'll link the entire collection actually for that embroidery collection, because it's a really fun one. But yeah, I just pressed this with a soft orange ink. I promise it does soften down after it dries, and this is that fun die set. So this is the basic die set from that collection. It is the Gathering Stitches die set. It includes a little stitched rainbow and the embroidery hoop, and then you have a bunch of companion die sets that add some things to include in the hoop. There are some Christmas ones as well, some autumn ones, and then there is one that I'm also using today that is just like the tools that you use for embroidery, so a needle, some thread, scissors, that I'll also use in this card today. I love making Stitch themed cards because I have a lot of crafty friends, but not all of them do card making. So it's really fun to cater to their hobbies as well when you send them a card. And like I said, this die set comes with a ton of little flowers, stems, and leaves. I added some ink blending to all of these to make them stand out a little bit more from that busy background, to give them a little bit more contrast. So I did that before I glued them down, obviously. And it's really simple ink blending, just tone on tone. And then I used my Barely Art Precision Craft glue to glue most of it down. Some of those flowers I am propping up on teeny tiny pieces of foam tape. If you want to cut teeny tiny pieces of foam tape, if you don't have those foam squares, just put your foam tape on some baking paper or parchment paper, and you can cut it that way, because that way you basically have release paper on both sides and it's not going to clog up your scissors at all. So that is what you see me cut in most of my videos. It is just regular foam tape rolled out and put on some parchment paper. It's a really good hack. So I don't buy foam squares anymore. I just buy foam tape and parchment paper. I'm going to finish the hoop here. I did add some ink blending to that as well to make it a little bit more interesting. You could add some gold or wood texture, and I did realize that I adhered this part wrong. I think it's supposed to be adhered on the back of the hoop, so only the gold details show at the top of the hoop. But yeah, I think it looks good this way too. I just think I did a little wrong technically. If you're going to adhere tiny die cuts like these leaves, I recommend using a jewel picker or a sticky tool like this. I have one from Pinkfresh linked below because I have an affiliate link for that, honestly. But any jewel picker tool will work here. And this is going to finish up the hoop. I'm going to put that to the side while I make my background, which is a really simple one. It's a 3D embossed background with the one stitch at a time 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. This is from a past club kit. It is still available last time I checked on the website, so you can still buy it if you missed that club. And the same goes for this Stitched for You BetterPress and die set. This was also a club kit, I think in March. I really like it, and it includes some really fun stitchy sentiments, so I thought it was great to use on this card. I'm going to foil one of those sentiments in some brass foil. Brass is not the complete name of that foil. I forgot what it is. But it's a slightly darker gold foil. And I'm going to just adhere that on a piece of blue cardstock, the same blue I used for some of those flowers. So it matches nicely. And then I'm going to foil it. Now, if you're still looking for a glimmer machine, a BetterPress machine, or a die cutting machine, Spellbinders does have 25% off of tools. I think until tonight. I'm a little bit late telling you that there's a sale, but yeah. So if you're looking for a new die cutting machine or a BetterPress system, if you haven't tried it yet, now is a good time to get one. I'm going to adhere that background onto my top folding white note card, and I used some cream cardstock for that. I thought it would look nice and soft with the embroidery hoop, and I'm just going to adhere everything down with Barely Art Precision Craft glue. If my panel doesn't exactly match the size of my card base, I just trim my card base down with my long scissors from Tim Holtz. And then I'm propping that hoop up on some foam tape. I love how this looks. I really like the, I always like embroidery on patterned fabric. I think it always looks nice, and that's why I really wanted to try this look for the embroidery hoop and that poppy background. These are the tools that are also available, those scissors and that needle with the thread. Those are also linked in the supply list below. For that sentiment strip, I am going to prop it up on some foam tape, but I'm making sure that I only put foam tape around the edges. That way it doesn't have foam tape over top of the hoop, because that would be a little bit too thick. And once that's adhered down, that pretty much finishes up my card. Again, I did add some embellishments afterwards. You can check out my blog to see how I place those, but it's some pretty basic placement, honestly. I hope you like these cards. I hope you're inspired to create some fun things with those reverse BetterPress plates. Again, I know some of you are a little bit intimidated by those because it looks like a product that doesn't have a lot of uses. I agree. But like I showed in this video, you can definitely get a ton of different looks out of this product. So I hope you try some of these ideas. There are a couple more of these reverse BetterPress plates available at Spellbinders, and I know that there is at least one more coming in September with a new release as well. So I hope you like these, because I am a huge fan of these, and you're definitely going to see more of them on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. I hope you liked the ideas, and I also hope to see you next time. Bye!